Hello you guys, it's Dani, and welcome back to another video. It's actually funny because today I posted a poll all about what video I was going to film today, and something came up, and I feel the need to discuss it. So, yeah. The last video I posted on this channel was all about bursting your bubble of illusion, and it's interesting because after posting that video, it felt like illusion after illusion after illusion kept being exposed to me, and it feels like my entire sense of reality has been crumbling under my feet, which is scary and very emotionally difficult, but also it feels like a huge sense of relief because it's almost like all of these emotions that hadn't made any sense before are suddenly making sense. So I'm understanding why I've felt isolated my entire life. In our society, we kind of have this idea that if someone is privileged or if someone has a lot, then they don't have the right to complain, or their pain is somehow less than our pain. And so my whole life, I've looked at it and thought, everything's so beautiful. Everything looks so good and right. So how is it that I feel this way? How is it that I have two parents who love each other? How is it that I grew up with a lot of money and went to schools and got an excellent education and lived in a place where I have more freedoms than possibly like most of the world? How is it that I have this beautiful life that most people dream about receiving, and yet I feel like I'm in hell? Hold on, there's a hair on the camera. You can trick your mind into thinking something is true, but you can't fucking fool your soul. Most of the times you can't really fool your emotions either. At least I couldn't. I was reading my journal today, the journal I started when I was in 6th grade. And reading everything I was saying, I was so unhappy. And I felt so alone. Regardless of my physical circumstances, I always thought that I was the outcast. It felt like the entire world was against me. And I laughed at some of it because it was almost comical how much I thought that the entire world hated me. I created like a chart of the least popular kids in my elementary school and put myself at like the bottom. I wrote down all the mean things that all these kids said to me, and I had no outlet for it except for myself. And then people around me making me feel like I'm not allowed to feel this way because other people fucking have it worse. What does that even mean? Because all that little girl knows is she's alone, and she doesn't have anyone to talk to, and that there must be something wrong with her because she has this beautiful, incredible life. It feels like maybe she's the wrong one for feeling the way she feels, and that she shouldn't feel that way, and nobody else feels that way. But nobody was brave enough to show her that they did feel the same way, because they learned to cope in the world by investing in this illusion that everything's okay and everything's pretty and it doesn't matter. And so I convinced myself that it was all me and all my fault. And I can't be my real self because there's something wrong with my real self. And it was killing me that I didn't know what it was. And I never thought that maybe there wasn't something wrong. Maybe the entire world was just living a lie. And I'm so angry that I've been living in a lie this whole time, trying to keep up this act. It's so tiring. It's so tiring. Trying to maintain this show that you're able to function in this world that is so sick, and everyone is keeping secrets and lying, and there's all these people that seem to have it all perfect and figured out, and have it all together. They may even believe it, but you can feel there's something off. And then you think there's something wrong with you. This process of awakening, one of the hardest things about it is the fact that everything seems to collapse. And you realize that by being yourself and by being truly honest, you are risking everything. You are risking this illusion, and this illusion has been your coping mechanism your entire life. Your parents taught you this coping mechanism of living in this illusion because their parents taught it to them, whose parents taught it to them, and they're continuing to feed this illusion because they figured out, I can actually survive this way. I'm in hell, but at least I'm convincing myself that hell isn't that bad. But at a certain point, someone's going to see that they're actually not living what they thought they were. At some point, someone's going to wake up to the truth and see, oh shit, we don't have to live this way. We can actually be ourselves and love each other, not for this false idea of who we are, but for who we actually are. So if you fuck up, or if you make a mistake, or you're lazy, that's not going to cost you connection. It's not going to cost you all of your relationships or your entire life. It's going to be an opportunity for you to learn and an opportunity for you to connect. We so often try to deal with our shadows in the darkness, to deal with our demons in the dark. We try to hide it from the rest of the world because it feels safer that way. Because if nobody sees our demons, then it's almost like they don't exist. But that's the illusion. Dealing with your demons in the dark continues this facade. This facade that your ancestors continued and put onto you. Sorry, something sounded like it was chiming and that freaked me out. Now you have the choice as to whether or not you want to continue that illusion, or if you want to start living in your fucking reality. You can create your reality by convincing yourself that reality is whatever you want it to be, or you can actually fucking create it. You don't have to build a family and try to convince yourself and everyone else that you're happy and close and love each other. You can actually be close. You can actually love each other. You can actually know each other for who everyone is instead of just knowing them for this role that they play. And if your family is willing to deal with their shadows, their demons, and instead of doing it in secrecy, putting it out there in the open for everyone to see, and I'm now realizing that squeaking noise is my chair, then we can actually build connection. We can actually build closeness. We don't need to convince ourselves when it's real. We don't feel gaslit when it's real. We don't need to gaslight each other into believing this lie because it won't be a lie anymore. But you, as the one who is conscious and the one who is aware, has to be the one who's willing to step out there and put yourself out there, put your foot down and say it how it is. Because other people aren't going to do it. They are, but why are you going to wait? Is it more important for you to not be judged? Is it more important for you for people to feel comfortable? Or is it important for you to be real, here and now? Real, genuine love and connection comes from being real with each other. That's why I'm sharing this video of me crying and feeling some emotions that, I knew was in there, but I didn't know was in there in the way it was until today. I'm sharing it with you because I want to show you that you're not alone. When you try to maintain this illusion, what you don't realize is it's a coping strategy to deal with your reality. But then, the person who you're trying to convince to step into this illusion with you, you're putting them in pain. Haven't you noticed that when you're transparent with someone and they're very not transparent with you, how scary that is? Oh, I have a great example. Let's say you and a friend go through a spiritual awakening, right? And you're talking about your experience. And you talk about the fact that a lot of really challenging emotions have come up. You felt some of the most dark, stressful, angry, sad, shameful, guilty emotions you've ever felt in your life. You're feeling some of the worst shit you've ever felt. And you're talking about this with this other person who should understand what that's like, this other person who, must also be experiencing all of these emotions as they're, shedding all of these layers of trauma that's obscuring who they really are. And then this person says to you, oh, I'm not experiencing that at all. Oh, no, everything's been really great. I'm just getting better and better. Yeah, no, I'm not really, I'm feeling way less shame than I did, way less guilt. I don't even really experience it. You feel worse, don't you? You feel like there's something wrong with you. Well, okay, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but the way I feel in that kind of situation, I feel like there's something wrong with me. I now feel like maybe I shouldn't be feeling this way. Maybe I'm going backwards. Maybe I'm not actually shedding these layers, and maybe this other person who feels good is doing it right. Now you're questioning yourself, and you're going to prevent your own growth because you're starting to think, what if they're actually in reality and I'm in an illusion and I'm making myself miserable for no reason? And then you're getting even more frustrated that you can't just put yourself in that illusion. The reason you can't put yourself in that illusion, by the way, is because of the fact that you're not the unconscious self that you were. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, which is beautiful, but it's also painful. When in some moments you're in this weird stage in between conscious and unconscious, and you feel like you're torn in between these two worlds, and then you start to question whether you're actually moving towards consciousness or not. All consciousness is being fucking real. You know why I believe depression or anxiety can be a gateway to spiritual awakening? Because you're actually being real about the fact that something doesn't feel right. You're being real about the fact that this existence feels like hell. And there's people out there trying to convince themselves it's not. And so you're comparing yourself to people living in this illusion, and that illusion helps them feel okay. But you don't realize in that position of when you're in your darkest moment, you don't realize yet that that person isn't living in reality, that person is living in their own narcissistic bubble, a bubble that's helped them survive and navigate this world. And you know what? This process is so freaking painful. It is so freaking hard because in a lot of ways you feel alone, but at the same time, the more the illusion crumbles, the more you realize you're not alone. The more you're able to look and see everyone else in their own hypnotization and see that they're feeling the same things you feel. They're experiencing what you are, even if they're unconscious of it. The person living in that beautiful bubble and truly believes everything's good and pretty and I'm going to keep this thing going, they actually, deep down, feel all the same pain and misery you do. And in that point when you were unconscious as well, just in a bit of a different way, you were resenting them. And rightfully so. Because in a way, that consciousness reinforced your consciousness. For example, how I felt in my unconsciousness predominantly was I'm, for a lot of the time, geared more towards the negative side. But then also with friendships and relationships would gear more towards the positive side. Okay, so
I don't feel like I explained this very well in my clip. So essentially what I'm trying to say is within my own head, I would gear more towards pessimism. But when it came to other people, my relationships, I would try to convince myself and them that I was in a more positive state of mind. So I felt like I was able to help them feel better and that I was in a position to help them. So yeah.
In my head, when I was more unconscious, I was often in a frame of mind of the whole world is against me. And here I am watching this other person, the other side of the same coin, saying life is great and life is beautiful. Pretty little bow ribbon, that's what reality is. At the time I was so resentful because them making it seem like I didn't have a reason to feel the way I felt made me feel even more alone and isolated, which made me feel even more of the negative things I was feeling. And to them, I may be threatening their sense of safety in that bubble of feeling good. Neither of these states are healthy. The crumbling of these illusions is sometimes the most painful shit you will experience, because these illusions have been the way that you have coped and survived your reality for generations. And by you, yes, I'm kind of talking to you, but also the ancestral you, the energy of your familial line. The more you look at it for what it is, the more you see yourself for who you are, all of the darkest, ugliest pieces, the more being present, the more feeling fulfilled becomes natural. I was flying on a plane back from Florida to California, sitting next to my parents, and I felt this immense fear of, what if I went blind? And I felt terrified of this thought of also having surgery, because anything to do with messing with my body makes me feel, sick to my stomach. So I thought of going blind or having eye surgery, and I was crying on the plane as we took off next to my parents, and the amount of fear coursing through my body was insane. And instead of trying to distract myself, instead of just listening to music and trying to make it go away or trying to convince myself, no, none of that's going to happen, it's all going to be okay, I sat with those feelings and I sat with those thoughts and I cried, even though I was embarrassed to be sitting next to my parents and actually crying. I needed to cry. And when those emotions cooled down, you know what happened? The airport food came, or airplane food. You know airplane food, it's nasty. It's usually pretty nasty. So this airplane food goes in front of me, and my mom has this cheese board. It's not a cheese board, that makes it sound real fancy. She has like a cheese plate. And usually I look at that and I'm like, that looks disgusting. I will not even touch it. But this time I was like, how amazing. I have food. I have food in front of me, and I have hands and eyes that can see and a nose that can smell and a tongue that can taste, and I can feel it in my mouth. So I ate that food and I enjoyed every bit of it. Not because I was trying to force myself to be grateful, not because I felt like I needed to do it to be spiritually awakened, or I felt like, I have to do this gratitude practice. I did it because it was natural, because it was easy, because I felt those really dark feelings, and I had this beautiful reaction to this thing that normally my automatic reaction is no. When you hold space for the darkest parts of you, you expand yourself to not only be capable, but to have an easy time integrating the best emotions from a situation that seems mediocre from the surface. You bring a deeper, richer flavor to life. Doing this inner work is hard and painful and some of the worst shit that you will ever feel, and it is worth it. It is 110,000% worth it. To each and every one of you watching this, I am so proud of you. And you know what? If you are still investing in an illusion, don't be scared. Don't feel like you have extra healing to catch up on. It's all right now. All you have to do is when an emotion comes up, a thought comes up, a feeling comes up, be there. Don't run away. Don't avoid it, because you will be shocked as to how much you can accomplish in a present moment, in one moment. It is all here for you right now. Everything that you need will be addressed now. For example, when I did my makeup, I was so ready to film, as I said at the beginning, a completely different video that I had completely written out and planned out today. And when I was hit with this wave of emotion and of this realization of illusion at an even deeper level, At first, I was so frustrated. I was like, God, I was actually gonna film today. Like, I was actually gonna do it. And then instead of forcing myself to make that video, which I knew would have just been not authentic for this now moment, I decided to make a video on what I was feeling because it's relevant and it's worth sharing. And possibly this video could be a greater gift being given to you now. And maybe this video that I have on my laptop, this other video, will be a greater gift when I'm in a place where it's aligned to share that information. I love you. Thank you for being here. All right, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe. Hit the join button if you're interested in joining the Foxx tribe and getting even more awesome videos. And if you feel so inclined or inspired, I feel like, in my very biased opinion, that this is a great video to share. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Thank you. I love you, and goodbye.